Welcome to the InnerArena. I'm Coach Mo, your swag coach. And around here, we don't sugarcoat burnout, doubt, or that punk ass inner critic who's trying to hold you back. This is where high achievers come to reset, rebuild, and reclaim their swag, self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit. So let's lace it up. It's time to train your leadership like it's game day, because it is. Today, we're going to talk about overcoming fear, that flawed element of thought appearing to be real. And we're going to go through it the swag way, right? So let's talk about fear. Let's break that down a little bit, because we all approach fear a different way. But here's what I know that's a fact. When fear is present, that punk ass inner critic is riding shotgun. He's riding shotgun, validating, co-signing the thoughts of fear that you might be feeling. And when you have awareness, right, you can start to limit that judgment of the fear that's present. And so that's what I'm going to get into today, and how the SWAG framework can help you overcome fear and keep you present. And let's break it down like this. Let's start with a natural fear. A natural fear would be, let's say, fear of speaking. That's a common, one of the top fears in society today is public speaking. So let's just start with that, right? Imagine most people have to do some sort of presentation at school, speak at their job, whatnot, and they're terrified. They're terrified, and they don't know why they're terrified, but they're terrified. They get nervous, they clutch up. All of these different things happen as they approach this presentation. But here's the reality. If you've been asked to speak, or maybe that's not even the case. Maybe you have the opportunity to speak and you have to do a presentation for school. Regardless, you studied, you prepared, and you have the insights on what needs to be presented. No one else knows the insights, but you know the insights. And as you approaching this, let's just say you're the expert on it. You studied, you busted your ass off to understand the content, and you are the subject matter expert on what needs to be presented. And so, yet you have this worrisome feeling, these doubts, right, that you're not going to be successful. Or you have this judgment that you naturally carry, and you're telling yourself, what if I make a mistake? What if someone asks a question that I don't know the answer to? Then what am I going to do? Right? That's bullshit. That's that punk ass inner critic showing up to distract you from your true worth in that moment. He's riding shotgun. It's validating the fear and the anxiety that you might be feeling, and putting a voice to it in your head, creating this narrative that you may not be good enough, that you might fail, that this, and this might happen. Well, the SWAG framework will set you straight. It will set you straight. SWAG, self-awareness, right? Why power, aligned action, and grit. So when you're doubtful and that flawed element of thought that's appearing to be real is present, and that punk ass inner critic is co-signing, you have no swag in that moment. Swag does not exist because there's no self-awareness around what your intent in that moment is. What's the vision? What's your mission? Right? And that's out the window. So judgment is naturally going to be present. It's going to be present in
And with the being present, right, the flawed element of the thought appearing to be real, when that's present, that punk ass inner critic is co-signing, right? So what you have to do, and what I'm going to teach you right now, is to build self-awareness. It starts with that. It starts with building self-awareness. So what does that mean? That means that you initially, right, know that you have a fear of speaking. Totally understandable. Most people do. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge it that you don't have the best feelings around public speaking, and that's totally okay, right? But then also create the awareness around you're also an expert in this craft. This is what you do. This is what you were born to do, right? And that in itself is exciting, right? And you've spent all of this time, all of these years building your expertise in a certain area. You have. That's what you do, right? And the other aspect of it all is because you are the expert, most people don't know what you know. So you have to trust. We trust our instincts in our expertise to be able to convey the message that we need to convey. But that's self-awareness to remember that that's what you have in yourself. That's self-awareness. So when you can identify that for yourself, that's self-awareness. And then the W, the why power. What's your purpose? Why are you speaking anyway? But then let's take a look at what our core values are. What's important to you? And why are those values important to you? Right? What outcome are you really trying to get with the speaking engagement that you've been asked to speak at? Right? That's that's why. That's your purpose. That's your core, right? And then what aligned actions can you take? Okay, so aligned actions can come in a lot of different formats. What aligned actions can you do to limit the fear that you're feeling of that flawed element of thought that's appearing to be real? What can you do about that? What actions can you take about that? What actions can you take to be better prepared for your presentation? What actions can you take that really brings purpose to your mindset so that you're in this comfort vibe, right, before you present? So all of these types of aligned actions is to try to support your self-awareness and your why power, because that's powerful. That's powerful. And when you can do that with those aligned actions, now there's grit. There's the determination not to quit, not to quit on yourself, right? Because here's the thing: when you don't have the self-awareness, the why power, or the aligned actions, and you're about to go and speak, that fear is going to run your ass. It's going to run you. It's going to run you like crazy, right? And you have to like trust yourself that you got this, and that's part of grit. That's part of grit. And the reality of it all is this, right? You can go through the flawed element of thought appearing to be real, and then that punk ass inner critic could be co-signing, right? But it's the action, it's the aligned action, the grit of doing it, of doing the presentation. And so think about it. When you get on that stage or however that format is that you have to do the presentation, after when you start presenting, the fear goes away. It diminishes, right? Because it's a flawed element of thought appearing to be real. And so when you have self-awareness of that, it makes your grit more powerful. It makes everything like really flow, and you have swag. That's the swag framework of what I'm referencing. So when you have swag, it eliminates or diminishes one, that flawed element of thought, and then appearing to be real, and then that punk ass inner critic. That's what it naturally does. And you have swag. And here's the other thing. When you do feel fear, when you do feel afraid, when you do feel doubt, when you do feel worried, when you do feel scared, any of those type of emotions, in that moment of that feeling, you don't have swag. You don't have swag because there's no self-awareness. There's low self-awareness. There's a low why power. There's low aligned action. And then there's low grit. No swag. So to overcome that punk ass inner critic and that flawed element of thought appearing to be real that's trying to team tag you and keep you afraid and keep you small, you got to get your swag back. Swag, self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit. There it is, and I'll catch you on the next round.
You just got to rep in the inner arena. Don't let that stop here. Leaders build muscle with consistent reps. So hit the subscribe or drop a comment and share it with someone that's grinding but running on fumes. And if you're ready to go from survival mode to beast mode, grab my free swag cheat sheet. It's got you, and it's in the link below. Remember, the best way is to get out of your own way. See you in the next round.